Well, good day folks. I tell you what, gotta love this flaming weather in Broome, don't you? It's pretty nice during the day, a little bit cool at night, but it's a lot better than what it is in Perth, that windy, wet and stormy kind of weather they got going down there. I'll be up here anytime. Anyway, stay with us where we have a look around the Broome area. I'll just tell you a little bit about Broome. One of the early visitors here was our mate, the part-time pirate, William Dampier. He had a look around the place and he thought it looked alright. He gave us some good reports. I'm sure the Dutch probably came through here as well a few times when they were heading north up to Java. But really what put Broome on the map was the pearling. Once the pearls ran out down south at Cossack, they moved up into this area here, and the pearling's been here ever since. The Japanese played a big part in the pearling industry here. In fact, during the Second World War, when they had said that all Japanese people on the mainland of Australia needed to go into prisons, on the day that they were supposed to enter, they'd walked in with their bags into the jails, and all the locals here, who had high respect for them, stood on the side of the road clapping as they went in, saying, "We'll look after you, no problem." They would go in there every week with cakes and food and things and looked after the Japanese. There's even a famous photo here of one of the guards getting his hair cut by a Japanese fella, and another Japanese fella holding his gun for him. After the Second World War finished and they were all released, they all came back out, went straight back into their jobs in the pearling industry, like it never even happened. During the Second World War, the Japanese actually bombed Broome. It was quite a big bombing here. They bombed the harbour behind me. A little bit further around the corner around there is Leveque Bay, where there were a heap of planes in there. Seaplanes, the Catalinas, they bombed them, blew all them up, and yeah, so this is one of the big bombing areas of the Second World War, and as I said in another section of this video, it was all to do with stopping the Americans from having places that they could launch attacks into the southern part of Asia. So tourism and pearls is really what is Broome's biggest industry at the moment. Yeah, great beaches here, some great scenery, well worth coming up and having a look at. Now, the history of Broome is a tale of lots of ups and downs, so in an effort of not trying to miss something out, trying to do it from my memory, I'm actually going to read you something. So in 1879, Charles Harper suggested that Leveque Bay be set up as a port with facilities for the pearling industry. In 1883, John Forrest, and if you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll know that John Forrest was the first Premier of Western Australia, but he was also a bit of an explorer who did lots of exploring up and down the coast and around everywhere of WA and a bit in the east as well. In 83, John Forrest selected a town site in Leveque Bay. Later that year, the town site of Broome was proclaimed and named after the colony's governor, Frederick Broome. So that's where the name Broome came from. Broome was gazetted as a port in 1889. A new telegraph cable was established at Roebuck Bay, linking the isolated colony direct with England via Singapore and heaps of other places. 1889 to 1991 was known as the Fat Years. Saw the price of mother of pearl shell escalate to new heights and established Broome as a port, often referred to as the Queen City of the North. In 1898, Broome was the principal cargo port for the northwest of Australia, and by the First World War, the port of Broome was second only to Fremantle. There were 300 luggers sitting idle because everyone was running off to sign up for the First World War. So that was the first downturn in the pearling industry. By the 1920s, the pearling industry was back, that was after the war, back in full swing with the price of pearl shell at its highest ever. Then came World War II. The town was to suffer again, but this time it almost killed the town off for good. In the 1950s, the plastic button was invented, and that killed off the cost of the pearl shell overnight, so it wasn't worth anything. By the end of the 1950s, the town was on its way back. Up until now, finding pearls was really only a bonus, as the money was in the pearl shell. But the Japanese had been already experimenting and perfecting the cultured pearl. Only in Broome, the pearls matured in 2 years, not 4, and they were twice the size of those in Japan. Broome was put on the tourist map in the mid-1980s after a visit from an English politician that could see the potential of the town. Lord McAlpine put Broome on the map as a must-see place after building Cable Beach Resort and being involved in a number of other things around the town. Today, Broome has a population of somewhere around 17,000+ people. They export a lot of cattle out of here, but the main two industries are tourism and, of course, the pearl. So that's a real brief look at the history of Broome. Well, sunning yourself on the beach is a pretty popular thing, but I don't think going for a swim is a really good idea. It's not because of all the sharks, it's because all the crocodiles have eaten them all. Nah, not really. But crocodiles have been seen in the area on a number of occasions, and they have a habit of sneaking up on you. A couple of species of box jellyfish also inhabit the area at certain times of the year. Although I'm told the fishing's pretty good up here. However, going by local information, they say that there's very low chance of being attacked by crocodiles or anything else. Well, for me, I like having my legs, so I'll stay out of the water, just in case the crocodiles didn't get the memo. A walk around town is always a pretty good start. Don't forget to include a look inside the old Sun Picture Theatre that's still in use today. They have a few historic artefacts on display as you walk in the door. Just past the racecourse you'll find Gantheaume Point. This is where Broome's white sandy beaches and turquoise oceans meet the Pindan Red Cliffs. and you'll also find a cast of a 130 million year old dinosaur footprint. The real ones are out on the point and can only be seen when the tide is extremely low. So they've made a plaster cast and a concrete version out here so that you can see them. Speaking of low tide, a hovercraft ride is available to go out to walk around what's left of the aircrafts that were bombed during World War II. And they also go and have a look at those dinosaur footprints too. Unfortunately, while I was here, the tide wasn't right to do the trip, so I'll have to leave that for another time. And at low tide is the time to come and see the famous Stairway to the Moon. The Broome Historical Museum is pretty interesting, and while you're out that way, the town beach is worth a stop for a photo back at the mangrove swamps where the pearling boats used to tie up to the jetties before the mangroves took it over again. Camel rides on Cable Beach are always a big hit, especially at sunset. Malcolm Douglas Crocodile Park is a great place to see the crocodiles behind the safety of a fence, but it's only open for a few hours in the afternoon while they're doing a crocodile show. The horizontal falls is one of those big things that many people have on their to-do list. It's not cheap, but it's a day that's going to give you bragging rights with your friends for a really long time. You can also do this from Derby, and it's a little bit cheaper because it's a little bit closer. There are also heaps of day tours out of Broome to keep you interested. Head to the info centre in town and they'll help you out.
Follow through Cape Leveque Road for 192 kilometres.
Well, good day folks. It's a bit of an early start this morning here in Broome. A bit of a cold start too. A bit surprised about that. Wasn't expecting that up here. But this morning we're heading out to Cape Leveque. So I've never been out this way before, so something a bit new to me. We'll see what happens when we get there. Driving out on this road out to Cape Leveque, you've got probably maybe 15 kilometres of bitumen road before it turns into gravel, and then you've got maybe 100 kilometres of gravel road, which changes from being not a bad road. You can do quite easily 80 kilometres an hour on it, possibly a bit more. Down to some bits where it's a bit corrugated, a bit rough at the moment, and of course being a gravel road that changes all the time. About 100 kilometres before the end, you will eventually come back onto gravel, back onto bitumen again. They are in the process of bitumenising this road all the way back into Broome again. So probably in a couple of years' time you come out here and be bitumen all the way through. But, did I need four-wheel drive all the way? Nah, did most of it. Did most of it in two-wheel drive. It's actually where the roadworks are at the moment. It's gotten a bit sandy, and I had to flick it into four-wheel drive for a little bit. But you certainly probably couldn't do this in an ordinary car, because some of the places in the road, the mound of dirt in the middle is quite high, and I reckon an ordinary car would clean all that up and you'd get stuck on that. So definitely need a four-wheel drive, but you don't necessarily need to be in four-wheel drive all the time. Bit of a sandy section here at the moment as we're coming back into the roadworks again. See what the difference now a graded road makes. This is like a bitumen road just about, but it's still gravel. So very good quality road now. The highway they're building at the moment, I'm calling it a highway because it looks like it's got about 4 lanes on it. So it's going to make it a really easy ride out to this Cape Leveque in a few years time. So all you people with two-wheel drive vehicles that currently can't come out here unless you're doing it on a tour, then it's going to make it so much easier for you people to come out here. It's important when travelling in remote areas to make sure that your equipment is in the best condition it can be. While that will reduce the chances of anything going wrong, it's always a good idea to carry plenty of spares just in case. Now I couldn't quite make out what was going on here, but I think he's got a flat tyre. But it could just as easily have been a broken axle or even his axle breaking away. But he's lucky, there's plenty of people here to give him a hand, but it could be so much worse in an isolated area. The last 102 kilometres is a good road, and when they finish upgrading the 90 kilometres of dirt they're working on at the moment, it'll be open to all tourists and all vehicles, although that'll be a few years away yet. The road into Cape Leveque turns into an, at times, very boggy sandy track, and this is a good example of why you have a four-wheel drive. To be able to get into some of those amazing places that standard cars can't. You don't need to be an expert in all things four-wheel driving. It's an easy drive in, you just need to be in four-wheel drive. So don't be put off if you see a little bit of soft sand. That's not to say some basic knowledge and equipment, just in case, is always a good benefit. For a small fee you can come in for the day and have a look around, A little extra, you can bring your car in, and of course you can stay in the caravan park. We'll be going from where the entry is in the cafe to the red cliffs on the east side, then through the caravan park, past the safari tents, to the safe swimming beach on the west side. You look at this here, just at the amazing red in the rock here, and then you got this layer of white through here. Now I'm no expert, but I'm sort of thinking that maybe like millions of years ago this was the height of the rocks, and then maybe the ocean had come over and perhaps sand and that had gotten here, and that perhaps might have created this white sort of layer in here. And then later on more rock level may have perhaps come on top again, so it's gone red again. That's possibly how it's got that different waves of colour. Oh, it's actually amazing. You can almost see like rings on a tree. Tells the age. You can almost look at here, you can see lines which perhaps mean different times in history. Tide's coming in. I've got to get up. It must have been the 7th wave, because it came in a lot further than what the other waves did, so we got a little wet. Luckily I'm wearing my water thongs today. Well, that's the western beach, so let's go over and have a look at the eastern beach. There's a nice little boardwalk that goes up over the hill to make the walk easy for almost everybody, as long as you can deal with the steps. The safari tents are all self-contained, with a good gap between them so you don't hear the neighbours during the night. They say that the beach on the east side is safe for swimming. Well, we've just left Cape Leveque, and I've got to say, I was really quite surprised. It was not what I was expecting to be out there. It's a great little spot. If you are coming out though, there's a couple of options. $10 a person to walk in, and if you do walk in, it's only about a 5-minute walk to the left to the western beach, and 5-minute walk to the right to the eastern beach. You can drive in. It costs you $35, but unless you're planning on going in and wanting to drive along the beach or go fishing or something like that, I don't really see the point in paying the $35. I reckon just walk in, and you see a lot better when you're walking around too. So that'd be my suggestion. I can see this being a really busy place once that road opens up, and if they upgrade the road coming in, because this is definitely 4-wheel drive, it's boggy sand, you couldn't do it in anything else. So I would could definitely see this place getting pretty popular pretty soon. Anyway, we're going to have a look around the other side. We're going to go have a look at a pearl farm or something, I believe it is. That's exactly what it is, the Cygnet Bay Pearl Farm. Pearl Farm's not too far away from Cape Leveque, just on the other side of the peninsula. On our arrival, they were about to start a tour, but we were promptly told that we had to wait for the next one in about 1.5 hours. So we had a look around the sales area out the back and left. Yeah, wasn't all that appealing to me, but they had what looked like a pretty nice cafe if you're looking for somewhere to have lunch. Well, we went out to the Cygnet Bay Pearl Farm, had a bit of a look around, bearing in mind that I'm a bloke and pearls don't really interest me. Yeah, pretty mediocre. They do a tour, $35 each, and goes, I think she said, for about an hour, but we were just missed the last one and too early for the next one to sit around and wait, so we left. We didn't end up doing the tour. The tour might have been interesting to do, tell you a little bit about the history of the place, and they show you how they process them, open a pearl up, see if there's one inside, they show you how it's graded and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it might have been interesting, but yeah, just didn't want to sit around. It's an almost 3 hours drive back to Broome, and we didn't really want to get back in the dark, so we've left a bit earlier. So, yep, that's pretty much the Cape Leveque region. There's something I never thought we would see in Australia. A small herd of wild donkeys crossing the road. Did not know we had donkeys here. That's their deposits. They're leaving their mark on the road. One thing that just about every tourist will do at least once in Broome is to come down the Cable Beach and watch the sunset over Cable Beach. And if you own your own four-wheel drive, then you can drive down onto the beach and go as far as you like to find your own little quiet spot to watch the show.